Hello, welcome back to JJ's Bakehouse. I'm Ginny and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a flower pot cake. So I have got my flowers already here. If you want to see how I made these, I have got a tutorial for this and I will put the link in the description box underneath. So that's for this. And then what we're going to do is I'm starting with a chocolate cake. You can use any cake for this. I'm really just showing you how to get the structure and how to create this flower pot. So if you want my chocolate cake, then I'll put again that link in the description box underneath and we will begin. So to start with, all I'm going to do is I've got 4 layers here because it gives me the height I want. I am just going to buttercream all those up as I would do a regular cake and then come straight back to you. Right, this could have been a little bit taller than I thought, but it'd be okay. Maybe the 3 might be enough, it's up to you. Right then, so this is all stacked just as you would do normally, and then I've put a disc on the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you in now because everything that I'm doing you need to see up close, you don't need to see me, so bear with me. Right, so on the bottom I've got, this is an 8-inch cake, so I've got an 8-inch board on the bottom which I haven't stuck this to. This will slide around. And then I've got a 6-inch board and I'm going to put that into the middle on the top. And then we're going to take a knife and we want to carve so that this comes on an angle. So I'm just going to cut in slices like that on a diagonal. And again, you go from the base of this all the way down. Now if you've done your cake, sponge cake that's being carved is so much better to do the day after you've baked it because it can be so soft. All the way down. I'm just going to do this the whole way round. So I'm not actually cutting into this base at all. The way that my diagonals go in is just skimming off above it. If you've got bits of cake coming off, don't worry because we'll cover that over. Right. Nearly there. And the last one. Right, so at the moment now you can already see that we've got this dip in. Right, all these little bits. Let me just pop into a bowl because we can keep hold of those, and on my channel we've got the cake pops and the cake lollies. They'd be ideal for this. Right, so then we're going to take the knife on an angle, flush to the top of this and flush to the bottom of the other one, and we're just going to go around cutting. So again, flush to the top and flush to the bottom. This is going to create that round effect, and because you've got the 2 guides there as well, it's all going to be the same size. Again, if chunks of cake come out, you can cover it with buttercream, don't worry. I really do recommend doing it the day before. Right, then as you can see, look at that. We've just created a vase, and it wasn't that difficult either. Now I use a bread knife just because it's easier and more serrated. Right, let's keep all of that around there. Right, then we're going to turn it in just a second. So let's clean this and then we're going to turn. Right then, I lied, I'm not going to spin it yet. You want to take this part, and this is your base, and this is what you're going to keep. So we're going to buttercream the bottom of that just so that it sticks. Make sure that stays on Could have just done it this way round in the first place, probably would have been easier. Right, and before we spin this upside down, we are going to buttercream it, because I think it's going to be easier to do it this way. So all the way around with the buttercream. I'm hitting this bottom board as well. Quite a thick layer on to start with so that we trap all those crumbs in. Now we do want the buttercream to be kind of solid. So if your buttercream is a little bit too thick, pop it in the microwave. Don't add more liquid to it because I'm not ganaching this, so I'm using this as my base for my fondant. So if you pop it into the microwave, it will make it smoother, and then when it dries, it will keep that texture. So as you can see, it's all sticking. So I'm just going to finish this off. I'll be straight back to you. Right, so that's all done all the way through there. Let's just get rid of some of this. Put that in with my cake pop. Right. Okay, now we're going to secure this to the bottom and then the other one to the top, and we're going to go around. So you're pressing against the two boards. Again, make sure it's in. Don't push too hard on the top one because you might push the board over and you don't want to do that. There we go. Already it looks like an upside down vase. Right, another go. Right, that's brilliant. There we go. So now that's what you would call your crumb coat there. So I'm going to pop this then into the fridge. So just take your knife and trim off this top part. There we go. Brilliant. So just make sure it is flush again to that top bit. Now I've just done that. Brilliant. Right, and then that's going to go in the fridge. And we'll wait for it to chill, and then we're going to put the second coat over the top. Right, so I can put my hands on this now. So we are ready for our final coat. So we're just going to do the same again, all the way around. Just want to make sure there's a good base there for the fondant. If you wanted to use ganache, you can use ganache for this. But the way I'm going to put this on, it doesn't need the world's hugest amount of structure, so it doesn't need to have ganache. So much easier to put on once it's had that seal, because there's none of the cake coming through. Okay, just using this here. I don't want it to be hugely thick, but just enough. Right, back in with the scraper. Oh, I've got a big lump just there where I've not put any. There we go. Right, so this time I'm not pushing so hard, I'm just following the shape of the And then any bits where you can see, like at the front here, we just go around and fill them in. Wherever it's missed parts. There we go. And again. Whoops, got slightly stuck then. It's because my bowl is too close to me, so I can't put my arms out to spin the board. So, right. Big chunk at the bottom here with nothing. That's better. Now my elbow can go out without hitting the board. Right, we're nearly there. I've got a really long line. I seem to have more issues at the bottom bit. I'm not putting enough in. Whenever you do see gaps like this, it's just because you're missing it, you haven't put enough on, so just go in and fill them back up again. And a long line just there. Right, hopefully that should sort it now. So I'm not pushing hard, just really gliding along. Wipe off the excess, and I'm going to go round again. Doing pretty well just here. Just need to get in a little bit closer to the top of that board so that it's flush. Otherwise my fondant's not going to sit nicely. Right, so I'm happy enough with that. I'm going to clear off the top part again, and it's going to go back in that fridge for the moment. And then whilst it's in the fridge, we're going to sort out the fondant to go on the top. Right, it's fondant time. So here's mine. Now I always put mine in the microwave, just because it softens it up, makes it a lot easier for me to work with. So what I've done with this one is I wanted like a marbled effect. So I put all the colouring on the inside. Oh, my dog again, I apologise. And then I've twisted like this, then turned it over, pushed down, and then twisted again. And this creates that lovely marbling effect through the centre there. So that's how I did that. Still a little bit wet, I'll just get rid of that. And then I've got some corn flour, just to sprinkle across the bottom because I don't want it to stick on my table, because that's not going to do me any favours. Right. Now I know that the largest part of my cake is 8 inches, so I took a ribbon and I cut it to 8 inches, and then I've got a little cut in there, and that's my height, giving me an extra just under an inch to play with. So that's a really good way of measuring. So I need to be that wide, that long, and I need to be that wide. So let's ball this together. Now be careful with cornstarch. You don't want, this is overkill and it will dry out. So I'm just rubbing it across my whole surface and then making like a dam and pushing away the bits that I don't need. So now I have a complete dusting across the top, but not a snow shower. Right, and then it's time to roll, which is a bit of hate because I'm not very strong. Right, so I'm going to roll both ways to begin with until I'm happy that I do have that desired width, which I completely do. So now I just need to know, I know that I just need to make this now as long as I possibly can, because the rest is bright. So you don't need to watch me do this because it's quite painful to watch me do it with my silly little wimpy arms. So I'll be back when I've got my length. Right, woohoo me, I did it. So now I know that this is the right length, and then width-wise I just need to cut it to make sure that it all comes to the right length there. So bear with me and I'll cut it. Just thought I'd better show you how to do that. So I've taken this mark here, and then I've cut where that is, and then I've cut where that is this side, and then I'm going to do the very same this side. So I've got my little mark in there, take it right to the furthest edge I can, take that one there, and then that there, and then I'm going to take this, line it up to there and to there so that I know I've got a straight line, push it down all the way through, and then just follow it along. Hold on to the piece that you've got and need each time. You could use a ruler if you've got one, but I find this works fine. There we go. And I've joined up there. And that there gives us that straight edge on that side. So I'll just do the other side and we'll be straight back to you. Right, so now we're going to decide which side you prefer if you're marbled. So I've got this side here. And if I flip over, I've got that side there. I think I prefer that one. Right, so let's get our cake out and then we'll take it from there. Okay, right, before we do any of this, we have to flip this cake. So take a scraper and just cut around the bottom of your cake like this. Don't worry if it messes up a little bit, because we can sort that out in a minute. Okay, take it in and lift it so you can put your hand underneath, which I've done. So now I've got my hand under there. I'm going to put my hand right under and this one on the top and flip. There we go. And there you are. So now we have our vase or our flower pot or whatever you want to call it. So we just need to clean this board up completely because we can't have any chocolate coming off of this. So bear with me, I'll clean mine and then we'll carry on. Okay, it's out. Now I've just put my hands under the tap and I am just wetting the sides of the cake. Now this cake has been in the fridge and it's just hard. Don't spin it, just pat it, because otherwise the fondant's not going to have anything to stick to. So make sure you dry your hands thoroughly. Right, then we're going to pick up our fondant. Take it as best as you can up in the air and wrap. So I'm lifting here and straight away that is sticking brilliantly to the buttercream. Got a little board under there and it's not helping me. Right, okay, that's in. And the other side, just lift it out if you need to. Flush along the bottom, really important. Now again, I'm using one called the sugar paste, which is excellent. You need a decent fondant for this so it doesn't rip. Okay. And then we're going to come round here. Now I'm not pushing too hard. There we are. Right, and then I'm going to take this and put it over the top. Now we've still got this board on the top and we did that deliberately. Right. So drape all that over and we're all secure. Don't go pushing too hard. Remember, it's not ganache under there, it is fondant. It is buttercream and it can go a bit gooey. Okay. Just using my fingers there to try and make sure that it is as flush to the bottom as I want it to be. Then we're going to take a knife and we're going to cut a line. Woo! I moved forward, bear with me. There we go. Right, then we're going to cut a line from the bottom all the way to the top through both. So, there we go. And all the way, don't worry if you go to the buttercream. All the way up. Keep holding it and just bring it over and cut through the top. We're going to take this one away and then we just lift this back and we peel this off, make sure that's in, and we push these two where we've just formed the seal together. There we are. Now obviously if you're doing a cake, look, I have just here, it's not marrying up with the design. It's not a problem. Right, we want to get just a little bit of water on your finger to try and get these two to want to stick together. Good. Takes a little bit of time. You can see on the top bit there, that's really coming together. Just a little bit more water. All the way through to the bottom there. In flush. And then keep pushing in together. Push in. It will be sticky. There we go. And then when that's dry, you can just buff that up with an acetate smoother. But if it wasn't for the difference in the design, that would marry up there extremely well, and that's the difference again in using a decent fondant. Right, so now you're going to go into the top, lift this up, and just above where you want it to be. It doesn't have to be at all neat. We are just going to take this top part off. There we go. And put that away. Right, now I'm going to get my smoother and I'm going to smooth this around. Okay, I've got two. I've got the regular plastic and I've also got my acetate. So first of all, just going to go around with this one, being careful that back bit, if it's wet, you don't want to go pulling at it. And this is just going to put that shape back in, push the buttercream where you want it to be. There's not much smoothing really. Lovely. It's looking really good. Right. That's brilliant. So now we've got this lip over the top, which I'm going to leave there for the moment. That looks good. I'm happy with that. So what you can do now is if you want to do an extra strip across the top. Now, they usually have an extra strip like this, so I'm going to do this. Pop this to one side. Right, let's get this back again. Now this is the part that I cut off earlier. So I'm just going to roll this out a bit more so that I've got my length that I need. And then I'm going to measure it up. It doesn't have to be really thick. So where's my piece of ribbon? So I know I need it to be here to there. Can go on a diagonal just there. Lovely. And up. So I'm not quite the right size just yet. So bear with me, I'll roll this out and come back to you when this is done. Right, so I have my strip here. So I just need to wet it now. So I'm going to wet the strip before I put it on so that it sticks straight away. So again, just a little bit of water so that it sticks to the top. There we go. Pull the cake in. Make sure your seams are on the same level. You don't want difference. Okay. You want it to be the same all the way around. Excellent. Right then, we're going to do the very same thing as we did last time. We're going to marry that up and we're going to cut it. Where's my knife? Here. So again, I'm going to hit the same seam all the way up there. Lovely. Stick that on. And then this one, if they're not quite the same length, just cut one down. So mine seems a little bit off, so I'm just cutting all the way around here. There we go. Sure that's flush. If you measure it out properly, it will be right. There we are. Excellent. A couple of bits there just falling off. Real. And then I just need a little bit more water there just to stick these two together so that they are flush. And then just make sure that they completely marry up. Take your knife and just sort that out there. Brilliant. And then I'm just going to try on my fingers just to mould these two together. And then take this and go underneath, just to make sure that you've got a really lovely line all the way around the pot there. Quite joining up properly at the back, which is upsetting me. There we go. So what I've done here is I've just got my knife and moved the fondant over whilst it was wet, and then over again, and then that will allow those two to come together just like that there, and then take that underneath. Brill. Lovely. Right, so now what we want to do is just make sure that this across the top here is all flush in together. So I'm going to take my knife and push the two together like this. Keep pushing, make sure they stick, and then just keep coming all the way round. If you're somewhere warm, you probably want to use ganache so that the buttercream isn't so wet underneath. This is why we've kept the board on the inside, so that we've got something to secure it to. Right, so once that's all looking good, you're going to take your fingers and just squeeze them together across the top. Push in and over, because that's what happens as well. They kind of go in across the top. So now that's coming together really, really nicely. Take this, smooth it around. Any parts that come apart, just get a bit of water and it will stick them together. Brilliant. Okay, so before we do anything else with it, what we're going to do is we're going to lift it and put it onto our board. So I've got a board here that's ready for it. I'm going to put a tiny bit of buttercream on the bottom so that it doesn't move around. So wherever you're going to place it, I'm just going to put mine straight in the middle there. The other thing with it. Get that to come off. There we go. Excellent. Right, so there we are. There's my pot on there. give the turntable a bit of a wipe down. I'm covered in corn flour. Okay, right, now we're on the board. Just give it a good clean, push right into the bottom bits now. You really want that definition to come in through the bottom. There we go. Brilliant. And now we're going to lift out this board. There we are. And then on the top there, we have just got plain sponge. Now, that'll allow you to lift this over just a little bit more across the top. I'm going to take some buttercream and just fill the top part in. Again, if it starts picking up any, just pop it in the microwave. You don't want it to come too high. Okay. All the way around there. Go. Right, that's all buttercreamed up. Now I'm just going to tidy up and then we're going to finish it off. Right, okay, now we've got our flowers and we need to put our flowers in, and we also need to put dirt on it to make it look more realistic. So when I did the offcuts of my cake, I used my fingers to make like breadcrumbs, and then this is the chocolate cake, and this is just going to go all across the top here. You want to put this on quite soon after you've put the buttercream on, so that it does stick to that buttercream. And this is such a nice way of looking like dirt and still keeping the textures of the cake the same. See, it's covering over any of these lips now, so that's why I wasn't overly bothered about the lips. There we go. We're nearly there. Right, so that's all my dirt on there. And now we need to put the flowers in. So I've got here a plastic tube. Now I know that this tube is nowhere near short enough, so I need to find my pliers. Bear with me. Can't find them, I need scissors. So I'm going to go, I know this wants to go to the bottom, I don't want to be able to see it, so, but I don't want it touching the cake. So I know I'm coming here, so I'm going to cut this. Right, I may need a knife, so bear with me. Okay, I did it. So find the centre and push that into the centre. Now if you've got the other half, I haven't, just find something just to push it in, and it's in. And then I've got my flowers here. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's fine. And I'm going to pop those into the top there like that. There we go. Oh, you can't see. Let's move my camera. Right, so now they're in as well. They're not touching the cake there, so it's not food safe, because we always want to make sure that things are food safe. And then any last little bits that you want to do, any last bits of cleaning up, just always make sure that this is as secure as possible. It's not water on that, it wants to peel up. Brilliant. And that is our flower pot cake. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's really helpful. This is such a nice cake. It will hold that structure better if you use ganache. I used buttercream obviously, but you'll get completely straight if you use the ganache. But this is absolutely lovely, brilliant for Mother's Day. Really, really good. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you soon. Take care.